so hard. I've met girlfriends on there before, but that doesn't make it any less of an amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat of nightmares that Vomit had. Like, Vomit had a nightmare, and then it had another nightmare, and eventually all these different flavors of Baby Nightmare came together, and voila, OkCupid. So yeah, I think my main problem with online dating is like my main problem with life, which is that I am obsessed with what other people think. About me specifically. And so I care what other people think, perhaps too much. I told my friends about this before, and everyone's always like, who cares what other people think? Which, not to knock my friends' advisory skills and everything, but, that's just bullshit. I mean, whatever your problem is, just do the opposite. From now on, always be perfect. So yeah, I care what other people think. And whenever, historically, I met a girl and brought her around, people can't wait to ask you how you met each other. Everyone just turns to little Angela Lansbury. You gotta get involved. And what we do, it's such a shitty story. It's like I was looking at pictures of girls on the computer, and I got a giant boner, so I found out everything I could about her. Use that information to Groundhog Day her into liking me. And apparently I was better at it than all the other assholes who were trying to do the exact same fucking thing. And that's how this happened. So yeah, the last time I did that was in 2008, and we lasted about 4 months, and it did not end well. Let's put a pin in that and fucking never come back to it. Suffice to say that after that, I decided that I was done with online dating. I was moving on. And another reason I wanted to be done with it was because, I felt my family was becoming too reliant on it. Like, my dad met his wife online, and my brother did too, and my little sister's boyfriend, she met him online. My grandma's a widow, so she hasn't had any relationships online, which has been fucking a lie. You can demonstrate getting it from my grandma. And she's been having sex more than I have, and I'm no slouch. Just kidding, I'm a slouch. I'm a serious slouch. Full sex. And it's crazy. So after that, in 2008, I was offline, and it worked out pretty well for a while. But I had my next series of failed relationships with girls I met out in the community. And, there's just something so great about when you see someone you want to ask out, you actually go up and talk to her, and then somehow, the bullshit that comes out of your mouth, unlocks the code and mainframe, and it feels amazing. It's like solving a Rubik's Cube or riding a dolphin. Yeah, and that's a feeling that there's just no analog to when you send someone a message and they're like, okay, let's go out. Sure. It can never be the same thing. So yeah, and the one thing I learned during this period is that having a great meet story, as much as I put a premium on that, doesn't really matter. Nobody ever gave me a round of applause when I was like, this is the girl I met in my improv class, guys. Hey, shit, unless you just got engaged, and they have to then have their mind blown when you're and then on vacation and both have the same co-check somewhere or whatever. I don't know. So I had stopped with mixed results, and then I cut to 3 years later. It was around this time last year, and somehow on the same day, I had 2 friends, female friends who had just started online dating, asking on the same day separately about my opinions on online dating. And I told them the truth, which is that I had made a pride-based decision that I was no longer going to resort to online dating because I felt that I shouldn't have to, and I would never want to be confused with someone who needed to. It's impossible to say something like that without sounding like the worst kind of human garbage. What I felt like after those words left my lips. So the very next day, it's President's Day weekend. I'm off work, and I'm alone in my bedroom. Without a plan in the world. And there is just, it's fucking cold and just February outside, and just I was like, what would make this day feel less of a prelude to suicide? I can magically summon a girl out of my computer as though by witchcraft. And so I did it. familiar, mediocre, and also low stakes. You know, it was like it's like watching shitty movies on Netflix. You're just like, I get halfway through a date and I'd be like, what else you got? My new thing is I don't like want to go out with anyone unless I'm like excited to go out. You know, I'm through with what I call validating, which is just going out with people just because you can. You know, I think I'm just done with that. So yeah. Something happened though after I went online again, was that I wrote the thing that Adam mentioned that he read. I wrote this thing called My Superpower is Being Alone Forever, and it got kind of popular. Like, and all of a sudden, people were like tracking my shit down and asking me out, and that's never happened before. You know, like I'm a guy. I've been rejected 1,000 times, but like. I was like, you know, it's like had to like be rejecting people. It was just weird. I felt guilty every time. I don't know how you do it. Like, Jesus. So yeah, I didn't reject. Like, I went out on some dates, you know, and some of them I ended up, not calling back for whatever reason, and some girl ended up rejecting me after that, which was weird because they were like into me based on things like brand knew what I looked like, but then somehow the experience of like being with me. I don't know how you just like shrug it off and like, all right, no, it's cool. Everything's fine. Yeah, I guess after that, I mean, there is kind of like regular online dating is exactly sort of the same thing. You know, until you are with someone in person, you just don't know what it's going to be like. So there's something to be said for when you meet someone in person. You're never going to be surprised about what they're like when you meet them in person. So, that's like the thing about that. Yeah, anyway, so this is the OkCupid show, so I should tell at least one OkCupid story before I get out of here. And this is the story of, like, I guess, what's probably going to be my last OkCupid date ever. I don't know. I don't want to get haunted by that, but it looks that way right now. So, about a month ago, I got contacted by a lady who said that she had read My Superpower Being Alone Forever online, and she loved it, and she read all my other stuff, and she was just, she's like, why can't I date this guy? And you should see my face on this video. But anyway, yeah, so she said that, and then she said she didn't want to be creepy, which is something I can appreciate, I think, And then she said, I popped up on her OkCupid profile one day, and she couldn't believe her luck. And, I looked her up, and she was really cool. For the question, what's the first thing people notice about you? She put body like Arnold with a Denzel face, which, as we all know, is a classic salt and pepper jam. What a man! And then she said something about like I hate TED Talks, which I don't necessarily agree with, but I was like, okay, that's an interesting. I was excited to go on this date. Oh, I should say also, she was hot. She was very attractive. That too. So, that sealed the deal. So I was excited to go. I was really looking forward to this one. Here's what happened. So first of all, she's a half hour late, which puts me in such an awkward position because it's like, if I just like, NBD, whatevs, then I'm just like a fucking loser. But if I make any kind of a deal about it, I look like an asshole. So there's like nothing I can do. So I just have to like just stand there and just try to like hover between those two extremes and just power through. And that's what we did. There was a thing. We went out for dinner, and this is when I figured out she's one of those people who self-identifies as like a neurotic New York Jew. And I guess once you own that, I guess it just gives you license to just be as big a piece of shit as you can. And never worry about it's always going to be in your neurotic New York Jewish wheelhouse. So I was on this date with her, and she just kept giving these really weirdly intense opinions on everything. And and also I could get a sense that she didn't seem like she liked me. It seemed like she wanted to be written about. She asked me point blank, have you ever gone out with any girls just to have a story? And I was like, oh my god, I'd never do that, ever. and she's like, don't write about me, ha ha. luxury seaport. She wants to take a walk down to like a secluded area by the pier, and you know, it's like crappy as a date a bit so far. You know, I'm still down to make out. You know, don't judge me. But you know, so we go. We find this like secluded spot. We sit down and we're like having a conversation, and she won't like meet my eyes. She's just sitting ramrod straight, looking dead ahead. Like every time I look over, I was like, she just like won't look at me. She's sitting like this. Occasionally I get like a blip, but like nothing. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Why are we here? I'm landing on topic. What the fuck? Oh, and then we talked about abortions for a while. Night, pretty much. So yeah. Oh, and then except you know, I got like a 3 a.m. text from her that was like, I had a wonderful time, and I changed my mind. You can write about me. And I was like, yeah, I